pledge and a prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pray with me. Before we come to you now, thankful for the many blessings that you've given us here. Lord, thank you for this community that we live in and we have the opportunity to serve in this school district. Lord, please give us wisdom as we set policy and make decisions. May we always act in the best interest of the students and the faculty. That's in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. We'll call this meeting to order at 6:38 p.m. Note we do have a quorum present. The agenda was posted in a timely fashion. Legal meeting. Next item is public comments. All right, communications.
No, sir.
Consent agenda, the minutes of the May 17th regular meeting and the monthly financial report. Anyone have any items they want pulled or discussed? We have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion.
Motion, about second.
Second.
Second, RJ, all in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Next is information items, principals, and athletic director.
All right, y'all do not get the real peppy version of this, nor a lot of pictures. But I'm going to give you, these are preliminary STAR results. We won't go into a whole lot of detail, but I'll let y'all kind of look at those, and then we will spend more time once we get the rest of those. Oh, one more?
So, which one? What, are the basic separate or?
There are three different ones. I'm sorry. So you'll see at the top, it'll be math, then reading the next page, and then science is the last page. So 3 pages of page.
I got 2 maths, 1 reading. I got 3 maths and 1 reading. What's your?
There it is, a reading.
Here's the science.
I need a science and a math, I said math.
I got an extra math.
Yeah, what you got down there?
Reading and science.
Here's an extra math.
You get a math, I got all you. Melford hoarded a math.
I got math, reading,
I need one of these.
2 extra math. I don't have any science.
I need a math.
You need a math?
I'm good at math.
I don't have any science.
Here, I got 20 right here. I got all the back.
There's an extra reading.
Hey, good thing we got it all recorded.
That's it.
We'll blame that on poor
Somebody watching
instruction.
that might have got a kick out of it.
All right.
I just went to work, but I got 3. I should have kept those in my
Yes,
update.
just one pack. You're
I
just
was
winning.
Yeah.
All right. So the first one you should have is math. So what this is you'll see grades 3, 4, and 5. They're broke into approaches level, which is considered passing. We spend more time looking at our meets numbers, and then the math at the master's level, so you can kind of see what our growth overall has been. If we just look at overall passing, which would be approaches, in math this year, 3rd grade was 90%, 4th grade was 74%, 5th grade was 100. We look at that at the meets level, 56, 51, 65%. Our goal at the federal level is 60% in there. We don't have the regional and state averages to compare it to at this point. And then you can see math at the master's level. They're 25, 19, and 30. So overall, we felt pretty good there. You can see, 4th grade's an area that we've typically been a little less at, that we want to continue to monitor and look at.
I didn't really get that.
So if you look across the state, 4th grade will be lower. 5th grade's typically your highest elementary math score, it in 3rd. 4th is a little drop, so you teach it in 3rd. 4th grade is almost all new material.
Right.
And then 5th grade, you kind of repeat some of those.
Because I remember when Cody just went through it. I remember when Shelby did it. I remember you talking about it. 3rd grade, they were all masters. Went to 4th grade, meets. That whole group.
And you'll see that a little bit across some of the state as well. So we look at that. It is something, an area that we are looking at. And I know Ms. Bolick, when we talked to her about it, that's an area that we'll continue to monitor and look at. But overall, that's what we see in both grades.
Yeah.
3rd grade's a little higher. We drop off in 4th, and then we'll pick it
But it
back.
adversely affects our score, grade, whatever.
Just to some degree.
Okay.
That's it. All right, reading. We'll look over at reading. So 3rd, 4th, and 5th at the approaches level, 87, 85, 96 in 5th grade. At the meets level, 60, 66, and then 73%. If you look across there from 17 to there, you can see a tremendous amount of growth in that meets section. That's been an area that our elementary has really been focused on, and you can see that growth certainly taking place, as well as at our masters. You know, we felt good about passing rates in 18, 19, when we talked about elementary, where they've really grown. If you look at both the meets and the masters, we're scoring much higher as a campus. And I think that's a lot of the work that those teachers are putting in. And I think that's a testament to the fact that they're not complacent about having high passing scores. They want to continually improve and do better. So we've certainly seen great growth there. Then we can look at our science. This year in 5th grade science is what I have on this one. 87 was approaches, 64 at the meets, and 37 at the masters. So overall, we feel good about where our STAR scores were. We're getting those in. Our teachers have started, of course, summer school. We've got many of those kids that didn't pass here for intervention, and we're starting to look at those areas to try to address them. So outside of that, we're just trying to get the elementary ready. Mr. Wyndham.
All right. Graduation was a good, big success. Several members of the Mod Band are performing and learning while at the SFA Band Camp this week, this week. Several teachers are doing trainings this summer to improve their skills at different locations. For example, Mr. Barron's at a welding workshop at Region 8 with other ag teachers around our area. Summer school is going really well right now. The teachers have been very complimentary of the students' hard work and their focus during the summer period. Many of them, their main question was, when can we work out and go see Coach Turner, because they love Coach Turner. And so they're going after the summer school part. They're getting after it everywhere. They're really proud of the kids right now. State testing scores have started to come in, as Mr. Bradshaw said. The one scores that I have there are the preliminary scores. Now, I tried to make it simple for myself. I kind of color-coded some of those deals. The ones that are in the green there are the ones that we are above state and regional averages in the approach category. On that first page, the blue one is the one that we are below the regional and state average there. And if you'll notice that was in a past when we came back from COVID. Right now, we are rolling and getting a lot better at all of our tests. The one concerned area that we thought we had at the high school level was the history, and now we're at 100% there in that history. So we're pretty fired up about that. They even gave us the 2022 state and regional averages for high school, but they did not give it to us for our junior high right now, our 3 through 8. Those are actually going to come out on the 24th whenever I talk to the lady today. Because I was trying to press for them and get them in there so I could show you guys. But what I'm really probably most proud of is that even if you look at their approach, yes, those numbers climb, but then going over to the meets page, the next page, you'll see that we had significant growth in the meets category in that 6th and 7th grade. Our 7th graders made huge strides this year. We're very proud of them for that. Going up from 31% last year, and their ELA up to 61% this year in their test percentages of the meets category. So we're really fired up there. You'll also see in that next page, in the master's page, that we were consistently in that blue, it felt like, area of being under state average, and now we are bumping up into we're meeting the state and regional average to even surpassing it. So we're pretty fired up about our kids and what they're doing right now. I really think that we have made some huge strides thanks to a lot of our teachers and our students. Everybody was kind of going, well, they're doing the tutorial stuff and they're trying to find a way out of it. Yes, and that's been a good thing for us, believe it or not. Our kids are buying in, they're getting after it, and we're very proud of them. Yes, some of them are, like Mr. Bradshaw said, that did not pass the test are coming up. We had a few take a test today. We'll have tomorrow and Thursday as well. And then the kids that are in junior high that don't get to retest, they're here still trying to plug away and find ways to get better. So we're doing a really good job with them. We're proud of them. Anything, anybody?
I'd certainly just take a look, if you look across those from, particularly, I know middle school was an area that we had discussed previously, but if you look at the growth between 17 to 22, I know I've been asked that it's been a tremendous growth in our middle school, both at the approaches, the meets, and master categories from 2017 to now. So very
Yeah, you look at
thankful for the work that you and your teachers have done.
Well, you look at that first thing, I was trying to find a good comparative analysis. That 2017, 2018, that meets was 15 to 12%, and now we're up to 66%. I mean, that is huge strides, huge strides. I can't wait to see what the state and regional come back, because I think we're finna pull over the top out of it, so I'm really fired up. So.
A lot of good things going on. Our teachers have done a great job. We certainly have a few areas that we have noticed that we did not perform near as well, but I think we're making some improvement.
And we've addressed those, and
Yes.
we're gonna get after it. Thank you, guys.
First line item there is our all-district, baseball all-district came out. Tucker Sanders was the defensive MVP of the district. Kason Lamb was first-team all-district infielder. Graham Hawkins, first-team all-district infielder. Halen Deere, first-team all-district outfielder. Nate Brower, second-team all-district catcher. Brock Wyndham was honorable mention all-district. Devin Myrtle was honorable mention all-district. Kason Levitt was honorable mention all-district. Evan Acosta was honorable mention all-district. And Trenton Sisson was honorable mention all-district. Of course, the baseball team, as you know, had a great year. And wish we could have gone a little bit further, but 3 rounds still pretty good year. General athletics, what's going on right now? SWAT attendance has been great. We're averaging over 55 kids per workout with a high of 80. There's 260 in the high school, or high school and middle school right now? Is that about right? So the day that we had 80, we had about a little under a third of all students that go to Mott ISD in the gym, outside, or in the weight room that day. I thought that was a pretty good number. And of course, we've got, as the summer goes along, we'll lose some kids, vacations, all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I've been really pleased. It's the best numbers we've had since I've been here, and each year's gotten a little bit better, so we're really happy with that. Man, we've got all kinds of stuff going on right now. 7-on-7, we've played a couple times against Queen City Hooks. Our Hooks League starts next Monday. Boys basketball is doing some pickup games here, and we'll go to some other places. They play this Thursday. Girls basketball has played 4 nights and will continue through June in James Bowie. Girls softball, which hasn't played summer schedule in a long time since I've been here, they haven't played one. They're also in a league and have played 3 nights of doubleheaders with still 2 dates left to play. So volleyball starts their summer league in July at various locations around the area, just like they always do. SAU's running a volleyball camp this Thursday at our place, all day thing. And Dr. Chris Bradshaw has volunteered his precious time to do some extra volleyball free for our youngsters, and we're very appreciative of that. And so just wanted y'all to know about that. And overall, our kids are working hard, and I really like where our athletic program is headed. Like I said, it's been the summer, you think time off, and I mean, we got kids playing sports almost every night. It's been really good. We've had really good numbers, so we really like where we're at right now. I got anything else?
Next item on the agenda is 7, consider and approve resolution to designate officer to calculate tax rate.
All right, there is a board policy that requires an officer and employee be designated by the board to calculate the no new revenue tax rate and the voter approval tax rate. We've got a resolution that would name our district's tax assessor at Bowie County as that individual. They are doing it currently, and will continue to do that. So we would like to approve this resolution that would name the tax assessor at the Bowie County Appraisal District.
Any questions or discussion? Do we have a motion to approve the resolution to designate the tax assessor collector as officer to calculate the tax rate? Have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Second by Gap. All in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous.
Who made the motion?
Terry.
Terry, I'm sorry, thank you.
8, discussion of school safety.
All right, I know school safety is certainly on everybody's mind, given the incidents or events that have taken place here in Texas. Wanted to have just a general kind of overall discussion of school safety that we have here, and certainly give you an opportunity to ask any questions and try to address those. We have an emergency operations plan in place. It's one that we'll review again and we'll review in the summer. Our safety security team, which is made up of board members, our first responders, emergency management, police officers, the fire marshal, they've looked over sections of this plan for the last 2 years and kind of watched, it's not just active shooter, but all actions of safety. And we'll continue, we've got one more of those meetings that we'll have. We currently have adopted for active shooters the ALICE plan, which basically is a plan of run when you can, if you can't, hide, and then if you have to try to fight. We'll have that training again at the beginning of this year for all staff. We'd had that scheduled. We had done it again before COVID, but we'll do that again. So that'll be for all staff members. That'll also be for our substitutes, anybody else that'll be in charge of kids while they're here at school. Since the tragedy at Uvalde, just like anybody, we've watched some of the incidents and things that happened there. Doors, John and I have walked, and we're setting up a time that we can walk and make sure that all doors, when closed, actually close and lock. That's one of the issues they found there. We've got a couple of doors that we do need to do some work on. We've asked our staff to report those, and we'll start doing. The Chief Rochelle is going to start doing weekly walks and documenting those and inspecting every door as he goes through to make sure that all doors do lock and change. The main ones that we've had issues with, we've had reworked, which was our gym, our cafeteria. We had all of those replaced. Our current issue that we have is probably on one building that's a newer building. And we're going to change the closers out on it to make sure that it'll actually stay locked. But currently, when we did that, all the doors closed and locked as they're supposed to. The only one that didn't has been adjusted, but we'll continue to monitor those. We do have a locked door policy with our teachers that we need to make sure that teachers continue to do, that while they're in a classroom, they have them shut and locked. You look like you had a thought, any question?
I can wait if you want me to, or I can go. But just the locked door policy. What makes them actually do that?
Makes the teachers lock those
Yeah.
doors? Well, and that's where, again, our training will be again at the beginning of this year, that is something that needs to happen. And then it comes down to making sure administrators enforce, as well as our chief officer enforce that when they walk.
Seems to be, a pretty big deterrent.
It is. If you actually look at the research of any active shooter that's taken place in a school, it is, I don't know that it's still zero, but last time we had to train, there'd been 0 deaths behind a locked door. Classrooms they've gotten into are unlocked. All of our classrooms have locks on the doors, and what we've asked to do is just keep those locked. When they shut the door, it'll automatically lock. Some districts do some different things in there, but when the door shuts, it should lock if it's being done. We've had John and I have gone through the doors. We're looking at adding some additional safety protocols in there that would make it harder for somebody to be able to bust through a window and turn around and open it and be able to get into that. So we've got some things we've looked at it. We took a walk, Aaron and I walked and kind of walked through all the campus and got some ideas from him, from his background, on some things that we could do to shore up some of our doors. Also, to make sure that we have shades that we can drop through those, that if something was to happen, people can't just look in that door and see who's in there. Make it at least a little more difficult. So those are things that we're looking at adding to general safety for those doors. But certainly, we're going to reinforce that policy at the beginning of the year, and then it'll be on us to make sure that those doors do stay locked, as well as our exterior doors. We're not dropping doors open. That's a big thing, like those vestibules. Out of convenience at times, we've got the front door and then the second locked door. We've got to make sure those aren't dropped for convenient purposes. And that's unfortunately what happens in a lot of those cases. For convenience, we either don't lock it, leave it open. Same way with gates. I know we've got some gates that we've having to monitor around our perimeter fencing to make sure those stay locked and shut when people use them. But that's the biggest issues that we have with our own folks, is even if we do have it here, we've got to enforce and make sure that they are keeping those locked.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
How feasible would it be to go, and I'm talking about a lot of doors, but if every door had something similar to what we have on the exterior doors, where they have to use their key to buzz themselves in and out, or some sort of keypad, a bunch of code to get in and out every
So
classroom?
to redo just the exterior doors, it's going to be, if we put new locks on just the ones that currently have them, which is just a fraction of those, I think we've got a quote on that would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $60,000 just to replace them, and that's not running new electricity, new wires, something along those lines. So I think that would be a major cost. There are some programs, and I don't know that answer, I can certainly research it, There are some others that have centralized, where you can, almost like a panic button from the office, be able to hit that and it locks all doors and ensures that they are, again, it's cost. How much would something like that cost? And I don't know that answer. But certainly something that we can get more information on. All of our doors are exteriorly open. They open to the outside, open to the hallway, except in this building and the tech building. They open into the classroom, so there's some other devices that we need to put on those doors to be able to help secure those.
The newer building.
The rest of them all open exterior, which makes it easier to secure. There are some, with our windows in classrooms, particularly cafeteria and some of those areas that we're going to look at bringing in some kind of, whether it be graphics exterior where it's not easily, where you can't just look in. There's going to be some things we need to do with that. There's some issues out here that we need to look at and make sure that we cover, particularly cafeteria-wise, just areas to make it harder to be able to see into buildings. Right now, you can walk by and see who's in there at all times, so there's either window tinting, you can get the graphics that are one way, so we're getting some ideas and prices on what those would take. That was one improvement or idea that we had with it. Perimeter fencing, I'm getting some ideas of what it would take to secure more around these buildings here in the front, as well as around the elementary school. Currently, we have a wide open campus, so we're getting some ideas of what that would take.
Are we fully fenced across?
All the way around the back, so
All
it
the way
starts.
around that practice football field?
Yes. So it goes to the rock gym, around the back of the campus, all the way back up to this playground. Now, the playground fence by this administration building is a 3-foot fence, so we're looking at it, raising that to a point, and then locking something off here at the admin that would do it. To do the front of this building, you'd have to look at exit and entry gates on the driveways, something across that middle school, and then something back there between the high school and middle school would be the areas that you would have to look at. Again, moving into that, it's convenience and inconvenience for parents. If they had to come up here during that day, they'd have to buzz in and try to get back here, but it would restrict. That's been one of the big concerns, not only from our faculty, from other safety folks that have come out here and looked, is the lack of perimeter fencing and the ability of anyone to be able to walk on campus really at any time. So we're getting an idea. I've had 2 companies come out and look at it. I don't have their information yet, what that would be, but it's something that we'll revisit to look at. We're looking at some camera upgrades. We've actually applied for a grant to upgrade all our door locks, intercom system, and camera systems. Don't know if or when we'll get that, but those are ideas of things that as we move forward with building, building and construction, we do need to consider and look at. And again, the cost on those are not cheap, but it is something that we do need to kind of consider and look at. What other questions do you guys have or that I can address for y'all? Certainly anything that we can't talk about here. There may be some things in our emergency operation plans that's not public or something we need to discuss in open forum, but I'd certainly address anything that I can that y'all may have.
How many fire drills do we do here?
We do 1 a month.
And how many?
I say 1 a month. That's actually changed here recently. We do, is it
2 a semester.
2 a
is
semester.
required, but we do a couple more than that.
Go ahead.
I'm just getting at, I mean, we're doing those.
Yes.
Is there a way to implement something else as far as an active shooter drill?
So we're required to do 1 per semester of a lockdown active shooter type drill during school when there are kids and teachers. Now, there are some new legislative laws on what that active shooter can look like. There were some schools that were doing full events, and some people felt that traumatized kids and that they didn't need to do that. So some new laws were put in place last legislative session to restrict some of that. But what we've done is done lockdown drills. We've done classroom drills where we've just said, hey, we've got an intruder on the building, go into your lockdown modes. Now with our teachers, we do bring in, we have brought in, live fire kind of exercises with blanks and officers and done that, but we have not done that with kids.
I think you gotta be real careful with the active shooter drills too.
Yes.
I play poker, you want to show your hand.
There you go.
So that's been some of the debate, you know, and so the debate is, do we do it and show it? And the other side of that is, if we don't do it, are people prepared when it does happen? And so that's the fine balance that you have to try to figure out, how do we do that? So we try to do it with our staff, because they're going to be leading it a lot more, particularly at our elementary school, than what we would be at the high school. And again, that's what we'll do again in August.
There's never been an active shooter, this is a question and statement, where it was the staff, it's always been students or random people, right?
When we talk about just randomly and indiscriminately killing anybody they can, it's been students, ex-students, someone that had a connection to that school. In that case, I don't know that there's been a staff member that has done that, no.
Like targeted romance or something like that.
Now, targeted romance, things of that nature, yes, that's happened, but as far as an active shooter, what I would call an active mass shooter, I'm not aware of one through what I've read.
So training faculty, you're not showing your hand, just with the kids.
And they're gonna be the one that are gonna have to, you know, react to that, and they're gonna have to react quick, and you're gonna have kids, teachers that have 4-year-olds to teachers that have, 17 and 18-year-olds. And there have been shootings at both sites, both at the elementary and at the high school. But at the high school, you do, with, those older kids, they're able to react a little bit more. It's not as much on the teachers. So, but either way, we need to make sure that they are trained in what they do.
To really prepare, you have to sacrifice naivety and innocence, and a lot easier to do that with teachers than
Yes.
with kids.
They need to, and they have to, we have to understand that, if something like that were to happen, it's an emergency. It's not, let's line everybody up. I mean, there's just some things we have to make sure our teachers do understand. So that'll be something that's reiterated in this next training that we have. And certainly, everybody's very aware of it. Several concerns have come up just about some safety things that they see on our campuses that we're addressing, we're looking to address. The state and the governor are certainly starting to put down new requirements and things they want to see us do, and we'll comply with all of those that are necessary. Part of that will be audits that they look at our emergency operation plans and make sure. I've contacted some outside consultants, third party, about the opportunity for them to review our plans and get a third person outside of that to make sure we have everything that we need into it, for them to evaluate what they think that are not in our community. Just an outside look to them, so hopefully we'll be able to get that done here very quickly. Any other discussion just on general school safety?
Just a comment. Your best case scenario is nothing ever happens. And so the more visible that our school safety can be, such as fencing, things like that, the better the deterrent factor. So, like showing our hand, the more visible readiness that we have, I think, to be a less soft target.
Anything we can do to harden it, anything we do to make somebody that wishes to cause evil or harm, to make it more and more difficult for them to be able to do that. That gives us more time to react. And there's certainly many things that we can do to try to help with that we are exploring that we'll come back at some time before the board.
And the concern is everybody cares right after something like this happened, but it pretty quickly wanes. I think if we're going to act, we need to do it pretty quickly while it's still fresh.
Yes.
Still have
Unfortunately,
support.
this has happened many times, and we look at it, we train, and we learn from it, and then unfortunately, it's something that's continuing to happen, and I don't think it's going to get less frequent at this point.
Anything else on item 8?
That's all I have.
I think item 9 might be a lengthy discussion. Y'all okay if we do a 5-minute break before we go? I need 5 minutes. All right, next item is item 9, discussion of the Guardian Plan.
All right, as we talked about school safety, I think something that we need to strongly consider. This is the Guardian Plan there. In essence, that's the common term for allowing selected employees and individuals to conceal carry weapons on campus. There are two different state plans. One is this Guardian plan. One is the state marshal plan. I believe the Guardian plan gives us more flexibility and more local control. My recommendation for us would be to continue to explore the Guardian plan. We certainly can use parts of the marshal plan we like, if we so choose, but this gives us flexibility in that. Under this plan, we'll have some discussion on board policy. The board, you as a board would select and confidentially select individuals that we would allow to conceal carry. The board could select what they carry, what training would be required, whether we train. And when we talk about training, it's not LTC training. This is one training I've looked at is 24 hours of active shooter, 500 rounds of stressed ammunition on top of, recurring qualifications. One of the districts I've talked to have put it in, they shoot once a month and qualify just as you would as an officer one time a year into psychological examinations for anybody that's applied that you want to have to do that. So we can add all of those things in as administrative guidelines. What I'd like to talk about today would be board policies here in a minute, where we set the overall plan if we so choose, and then we can select all of those specifics in an administrative plan before we allow anybody to. But first off would be just a general discussion of that. If there's any questions, comments, things that I can answer for you.
What do you think would be, is there going to be people that would want to do it? Is there going to be a situation where you would have a stipend for that?
I think you would strongly encourage looking at stipends for somebody just to give them something out of it. Some of the districts I've talked to gave a one-time stipend, $500 for example, but basically that was to purchase concealed firearm. The school's not purchasing that, but it's allowing them to do it as their own. They can use that on practice. That way the school's not necessarily buying it for them. And then districts have paid anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 a year for those individuals because you are asking them to train outside of school hours on a recurring basis. Certainly I would think that would be something. Go ahead.
Are you remembering 1, 2, 3 per campus?
I talked to a school similar our size. They have 8 district-wide. I've talked to one that has 10.
So that's basically 2 per campus.
So I think the process that we would look at if we move forward with this is that we would put the information out for individuals to apply. They would apply to me, and then I would bring on those. I would make recommendations like you would. I think these people would be good individuals, and bring that to you as a school board. And we can certainly set those parameters on how we do that if we move forward with it.
In direct contradiction of what I said earlier about the visible deterrence, what I like about concealed carry versus open carry is the deterrent factor of not knowing how many or who has a gun. So we as a board could control that without any outside knowledge of how many teachers we had armed, just that we have armed teachers. So you just put that doubt in the mind as a deterrent. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
We could set that, but it doesn't have to be public knowledge.
And certainly
We have every teacher.
we certainly want to have a deterrent, and then, God forbid something was to happen, it does give you a response. And I've talked with Chief Rochelle, and he's very supportive of this, of having that additional response if they're the right folks and they've been trained. And I think that's a responsibility of us to make sure that that does take place if we move forward with it.
Are we looking at these concealed carry be all on their person, or are we going to have some, or would there be an
That
option?
can be a board discussion.
Be an option for a thumbprint?
Absolutely. We can, as a board under this plan, we can either allow concealed carry, you can allow lock boxes within classrooms or restricted locations. There's several options there. One district I've talked to, they have a policy that it's gun and magazine are separate. They can carry on their person, but they're keeping them separately because they feel the response time of being able to put that together is not going to hinder their response, but that does keep it from accidental discharge or those. So those are all policies that we can put together as a board when we have other discussions.
Today, it's just a high level. Is it something we're interested in pursuing?
Yeah, absolutely. Our next item if the board so chooses, would be to discuss the overall board policies that would allow us to say we would have individuals that would carry, then we would develop the administrative guidelines on how that would take place, at a future time. But this would be a big item that, yes, we do want to allow concealed carry. It has the 3 board policies that would need to be amended. We can make that decision, and then we can come back and discuss, those specifics. Many of those specifics are not public information, and that's not a public information that needs to be discussed. It's not something someone can request. It's put in a confidential area because we don't want people to know who's carrying, how they're carrying, where those things are. So that is not public information. So today is just more of a discussion there, and we did go ahead on number 10 and put that as a deliberation and possible approval of those amendments if we so choose.
Before we go there, just one quick kind of clarification between the Marshall Plan and the Guardian Plan. Is it my understanding that in the Guardian Plan, the board has complete control and discretion, and the Marshall Plan, the state dictates what you can and can't do? So that's why we're looking at the Guardian Plan.
No, we can say, we ain't doing this no more, we're gonna add more, take away, or.
It's not Pandora's box.
So
We have more control of how we want it to look like at Maude IC. There are parameters and certain things we do need to consider. The Marshall Plan has it dictated, here's all the trainings that must take place, psychological, and they're all there. We can use every one of those if we so choose. That there's been some discussion that some of that would be very good to make sure that you have capable individuals and not people that are going to react or panic. That's certainly when we talk about this, we're not giving it to people that can't handle that responsibility or don't want that responsibility, because in all honesty, in most cases, if an active shooter happens at a school, it's somebody they know. It's somebody they've been around, and you're going to have to take action against that individual. Not always, but in most cases that we've seen. So it's got to be someone that's going to have that capability and the ability to carry around other individuals. So, and that falls on us as a board and superintendent to make sure that if we do allow people to do it, that we've gone through our due diligence and we make sure that they're trained and we make sure that they're ongoing training. As we talk about training, that's something certainly the district would need to be responsible for, in my opinion, if we're going to ask them to do that. So that would be something that we would want to make sure it's not costing those individuals money. They're going to give us our time, but we need to take care of the rest of it if we so choose to do that.
Have we, or is there a need? I'm sure there's a need. Have we spoken to legal on it yet as far as anything?
I've talked to our attorneys. They've sent over, several years ago, not very many schools have done it. Enough schools are now doing that. They have quite a bit of recommendations. So this would be our first step to approve it. I've got a step forward. Number 1 would be to approve the board policies, and then we would come back with administrative guidelines, accept the applications, and then we can start moving for the training and go there. But certainly I would recommend that extensive training. Right here at Texarkana Gun Barn, I saw on Facebook, they've got a 24-hour training for school guardian program. That's one version. I've talked to 2 other individuals that are using 2 others. One's an ex-ranger, and then I think one's ex-military that's doing trainings and tactical trainings for individuals. And what they have them do is they train firearm usage, and then they're training on school grounds, school campuses on how you react and and we can certainly do those trainings here with our individuals to make sure that we know how we're going to react to that. And, like I said, Chief Rochelle felt that it would be another security level. He's still our number 1. I felt and still strongly feel us having our own police department was the number 1 thing we needed to have. This is another layer to make it just more difficult and give us, that deterrent, but also give us response if something here terrible was to happen.
This is, I guess, kind of in between Guardian and back on just the school safety, what about adding another officer?
We can certainly look at that and have that discussion. It's like anything that we do when we add personnel, we just have to look at what it would cost us and what we feel like that role would look like. And I don't know, I haven't researched, we researched chief pay. I don't know what a second officer pay would need to be, but I can certainly find out and research that and bring that back to you.
Might be interesting.
Okay.
Ready to go to 10?
I'm ready to go.
Item 10, deliberation and possible approval of amendments to policy CKC local, DH local, and GKA local.
So moving forward with this discussion, there are 3 board policies that this would affect. The first one is CKC local, which basically would add the reason we would want to have this on our campus and would give authorization. This board policy gives authorization for specific employees to officially carry firearms under this policy. It gives the specific approval to this board of trustees. The board would approve. It also allows the superintendent or board to revoke at any time necessary their ability to carry on campus. So if you have somebody that does carry that all of a sudden we change our mind, we have the ability to revoke that at any time. If somebody leaves the district, even on good terms, we have the ability to revoke that so that they're not allowed to carry specifically. So this is in writing, we would give out to them that they have the ability to carry on campus. And that it would start with, as a minimum, we have to have an LTC to be able to start any of this training or be able to carry. And then we would require additional training on top of that. It talks about that they'd be trained specifically and the board would determine what is necessary and appropriate. Only district-approved ammunition shall be permitted. So we've talked about frangible ammunition to make sure that if you do aim at a target and fire and it goes past that it would break up upon impact and not ricochet, not travel through best ability. I mean, you certainly can't control a bullet once it leaves, but that gives you your best opportunity to not have bullets ricocheting and hitting others in there. Those are the main highlights. There's some other things in here just talking about LTCs. But that would be our CKC local. The other 2 board policies are board policies in which it says no weapons would be allowed on school. So it's just changing to saying authorized individual would be able to carry on those next 2 policies. So CKC local would be the largest change in board policy.
Do you need a remote vote?
Yes. If y'all feel ready, that if that's the direction we'd like to go in, we would need to have a vote to approve the amendments to policy CKC local, DH local, and GKA local.
And just a comment before, my understanding is us approving this doesn't mandate how we go through this.
No, sir.
It just opens up the door for us to start the process.
This approval today is not saying anybody has a gun tomorrow. What it is saying is that we are going to allow it and that we are going to bring those administrative guidelines and have those approved at another date.
Any questions or other discussion on the deliberation and possible approval of the amendments?
If we need to change the policy just a little bit, we can do that.
Absolutely.
Complete control.
So board policy, this is just the overarching saying we're going to allow it. The ammunition is the only real specifics that we have in there, and that you have to have LTC. All the rest of that would be administratively, and we can change that at any time without having to have special call meetings or any of that nature. This is just the overall board policy saying we're going to do that. The rest of this, the administrative, the specifics will be administrative like a handbook. It won't be public. We certainly will have those discussions, and then as a board or administrative team, we can change that as necessary.
Any other questions or discussion? Do we have a motion to approve the amendments?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Terry, we have a second.
A second.
Second by Ryan, all in favor, raise your right hand. Carries unanimously. Next item is discuss and set date for goal development workshop board training upcoming months 2022.
All right, we usually do a board goal development and a board workshop in July. Certainly given everything that we're talking about with school safety, we talked about the CTE earlier, that may end up being a double whammy. Workshop and possibly a board meeting to do some of this work that we need to do. Does anybody have weeks in July that would just be no?
Yes.
Okay.
Week of the 11th through the 15th.
Okay. So the 4th through the 8th is that July 4th week. Anybody, y'all gonna be here during that time?
I'll be here.
maybe that Thursday-ish, July 7th.
I think so.
Good. I'm good for it.
Okay. Well, why don't we look at doing that if everybody's okay with it? And we'll do for now, certainly the goal development workshop, and then possibility of coming back with some of these items we discussed.
July 7th, about 6 o'clock?
Yep, let's just plan on 6 if everybody's good with that. Okay.
Next item is superintendent's report.
All right. First off, just summer maintenance update. We have actually got our janitorial crews have done a great job on our buildings getting caught up. We're now to a point that we're waiting on summer school to be over to get all those classrooms and then the hallways. We've got both floors down where the asbestos was removed on the cafeteria stage. I got both those VCT floors down this week. We've got to finish waxing and cleaning them, but they're at least down, replace the toilets. When I interviewed the students about facilities, the number one complaint I got was the restrooms, specifically toilets on top of the cafeteria stage, so they have been replaced. And they've done those floors. We had the parking lot striped. There is a little bit of work we still have to continue with. It looks like there's some things that we've got to come back and have done. Mark, we got a new fiber line laid, so we will no longer have Windstream lines. It's now on Vive. So they just put a new fiber line from the road back here to his building, which will increase our bandwidth by almost double, and it'll cost us less per month. Good job, Mark. He's been working on that for some time to get it done, so they just got that done. It's not completely hooked up, but it will be at the end of this month. Yeah, they're not quite there. They just ran it off that one line. So we've got the AC, Neil Gerald and the AC maintenance crew will be coming later this summer to try to get that cleaned up, and we're just doing some cleaning over all around the rest of our buildings. They are sanded the elementary gym and should be repainting it tomorrow. We're going to repaint it. We're going to repaint the foyer of the competition gym. We got to repair some of that. A lot of that sheetrock in there that's just been broke up so many times. We're going to have to cut some of that out and try to do some repair in there, and then we'll have it repainted. Hopefully that will look better. Facility committee, I talked with our architect and group with that. We're going to look at having our next facility committee meeting in the first part of August. So they are working on the suggestions and the plans that came out of our last one, and that we will again pick up there in August. And then Collegiate Edu Network, CEN. Our next step, I have filled out and have completed paperwork to send back to them. There is a survey they would like the administrative team and the school board to take part of, and it's basically to see kind of the knowledge, the readiness of moving into a P20 model that I will email to y'all on whatever your preferred email would be, whether that's the Mod ISD or if you have another one, but it's a Google form, so you'd have to just log in there, and if you don't mind taking that time and getting that submitted for us, they'll take all of that and basically from there see what steps we're going to have to try to take and what we'll need to here as a district, what kind of training the leadership's going to need, what kind of resources we're going to need to start moving into that model. I guess that's all I got.
We're going into executive session at 7:34 p.m. to discuss personnel, of course, according to Texas Government Code Section 551074, discuss and consider possible contract recommendations. Personnel, teacher coach, elementary pre-kindergarten classroom teacher, secondary Spanish classroom teacher, elementary principal, and resignation from employees. Same Texas Government Code. Okay. Y'all want to break before we go into it, or just go here?
You're ready.
Right. We're just
Turn it
going. We're coming back into open session at 8:16 p.m. Next item on the agenda is consider and take action on contract recommendations for hiring personnel. We have teacher coach. We have a motion.
I'll make a recommendation to hire teacher coach Ty Miller.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Next is elementary pre-K classroom teacher.
I'll make a motion to hire Haley Higgs.
We have a motion by Terry. We have a second.
Second.
Second by RJ. All in favor, raise your right hand. Unanimous. Next item D, elementary principal.
I'll make a motion that we hire Elizabeth Howe.
Have a motion by Terry, we have a second.
Second.
Second by Ryan, all in favor, raise your right hand. It is unanimous. Mix it up a little.
Just want to break it up.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't even look it up, I just read the same thing over and over.
Next item,
We do have one resignation.
accept resignation from employees. We have a letter of resignation from Ms. Faust. We have a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion.
Have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
Rusty, second. All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. It's
I'll
really
make a
not,
motion to adjourn.
it's really not optional. We have a motion to adjourn.
We gotta make it a timer, let's go.
So that's it, that's it, Rusty. All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. With one abstention.
Terry rolled around on the